Hi guys, welcome to episode 19 of the Knitting Expat Podcast. Geez, words are failing me today. Hi, welcome. Today is Monday the 20th of July. My name is Mina and I'm coming to you from sunny Bahrain. Welcome, thank you for joining me today. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for giving me a go and taking some time out of your day to sit down and join me for a chat. Like I said, my name's Mina and you can find me on Ravelry as Mina86. You can find me on Instagram as Mina Phillip, and you can find me on those are the two main places that I am really. I don't have a Facebook page for the podcast or anything, but you can find the podcast group on Ravelry under Knitting Expat Podcast. And the show notes for this and all other episodes are on the knittingexpat.wordpress.com website, blog. And I sell project bags on Etsy under Mina Makes, and that's minamakes.etsy.com. Everything is linked in the description box on YouTube below the video and in the discussion thread for this episode on Ravelry as well. So you can find all the links to everything, to all the different places you can find me, and to my Etsy and all of that. Yes, I wanted to start off really quickly by saying thank you to everyone who commented on my question last week about notions and how you store your notions. And I realised actually as I was getting ready for this episode last night that I didn't show you guys one of the things that I also use. I have one of these little Percy Pig tins. Now, if you're not from the UK, you might not know what Percy Pigs are. Percy Pigs are little sort of gummy sweets. I guess is the best way to describe them. They're sort of like a cross between marshmallows and like gummy bears. They're kind of mixed together, really nice. And they sell them pretty much exclusively at Marks and Spencer's. It's a Marks and Spencer's brand thing, I think. Anyway, Marks and Spencer's is a British brand clothing store, but they also have a food section. Percy Pigs are like totally my thing. You can't get them over here, even though we have Marks and Spencer's, because Percy Pigs have pork products in them, so they don't sell them here in Marks and Spencer's. You have to have a special license to sell pork products or to serve pork products in your restaurants. So there are very few supermarkets that actually sell pork, and it has its own dedicated pork section at the back, sort of hidden away in a corner. But I'll talk more about that another time. If you guys are interested, just let me know. It's anyway, so I think it was last Christmas just gone, Perry's mum got me, was it Perry's mum? Was his dad that does the stockings? Can't remember. I think it was Perry's family anyway. Or was it my mum? Oh, I'm so confused. Anyway, I got given this from somebody, from either my family or Perry's family, as part of my Christmas present. And it was a white chocolate and raspberry piggies. Now, Percy Pigs to me have always been the gummy sweets, they've never been chocolates. But, sorry, why am I going on about Percy Pigs all the time now? I'm sorry. Anyway, basically it was filled with chocolates. So after I finished them, I was like, this is a really cute tin, be really useful. And I use it to store my T-pins for blocking. So yeah, most of you guys probably know what a T-pin looks like. Yeah, it's really useful. Stores them nicely, and yeah. Forgot to show you guys that last week, so there we go. Sorry about the slight tangent. Right, yes, next thing I wanted to talk about quickly before moving on was I want to talk to you guys about some new podcasts that I've been watching. I've actually started watching quite a few new podcasts this last week, so I thought I'd share some of my favourite ones with you. The first one is the Naughty Gnome podcast, which is Sarah from the US, and she also has a shop online, but I'll link to her YouTube, and I think she's got links there to everything else, and her Ravelry group. But she's really lovely. She spins, she knits, she quilts, she does all sorts of crafts, and it was just really lovely to. I'd heard her podcast mentioned a few times, and her bags on a few other podcasts and stuff, so I wanted to check her out. And her episodes are quite short; they're usually around half an hour or less. So they're good for like a quick episode if you want to watch something but you don't have time for a full long one like one of mine. Hers is a good one to check out. The second one I've been watching is a brand new podcast by the lovely Regina in Germany. She I cannot for the life of me pronounce the first part of your podcast name, Regina. I am so sorry. Maybe tell us how to pronounce it in your next episode, because I really don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to say it. But it is Regina in Germany, and I will put a link to her podcast both in the show notes and in the Ravelry group. You have to go check her out. She's lovely. She's just started her first episode. She's already got her first knit along going, so she's jumping in with both feet in this one. So good luck to her, and I hope to see more episodes from you soon. And the last one I've been watching is one I stumbled across called Kill to Craft, and that's by the lovely Vanessa, and she's based in the UK. So I guess all my podcasts are like all over the world today this week. Hers is also a new podcast. She's only got 3 episodes up at the moment, and she's very sweet, very lovely to listen to. Again, her episodes are on the shorter side, around half an hour or less, but they're really, like I said, those ones, I really like those podcasts as much as I like the long ones, because sometimes you just don't have an hour or an hour and a half to set aside to watch an episode, but you've got half an hour or 20 minutes, and it's nice to have some of those podcasts that are a bit shorter for those occasions as well. So like I said, she's got 3 episodes at the moment, and she's from the UK. She's so sweet. I love her personality. I think one of the things that I really like about her is that a lot of what she says, a lot of what she's gone through really resonates with me. We're the same age, from what I gathered. I think we're about the same age, and there are a lot of things that she talks about that I can relate to, or that I've been through myself. So it's really nice to have that, feel like you have that sort of connection with someone. She also has the most adorable little cat who, I think it's the second episode, she's got her camera all set up, and he ends up, I think it's a he, ends up walking around behind the camera and starts nudging it, so you can see the camera just like slowly moves around, and it's just so funny. Kind of reminds me of Hugo being a bit of a menace a few episodes back, when he was just wanting to be in front of the camera all the time. But anyway, you should definitely go check her out. She's very sweet, and like I said, nice length episodes for when you don't have time for a really long podcast. So yeah, those are the 3 main podcasts I've been enjoying this last week. All of them are relatively new. I mean, the Naughty Gnome podcast is 6 episodes now, but the other 2 are pretty much brand new. And make sure to go check them out, show them some love, and yeah, I hope you like them. Right, on to the main bit of the podcast, I guess. The outline for this episode is going to be much like the last couple of weeks. I'm going to do finished objects first, works in progress and upcoming, knit along news, some other bits, acquisitions, questions and answers, and week in review. So starting off with finished objects, most of you guys probably saw that I knit the handbrake cowl this week. I talked about it last week and I hadn't started it, and then I started it and finished it very, very quickly. So that's the back. That's the seam of the garter bit. Anyway, so this is the handbrake cowl. I really love how it came out. It's super soft, super squishy. I'm really hoping Perry will like it. I mean, he picked the yarn and I showed him the pattern, and he said he liked it. So here's hoping. And if he doesn't, I'll wear it, or maybe my dad will. But this was knit out of Drops Big Merino. I don't have the label here. Actually, wait, I think we'll dig one out on here. So it's Drops Big Merino, which is a worsted weight yarn. Sorry about this, should have been more prepared. There we go, that's the yarn. Drops Big Merino in the number 3 colourway, but I think that's Aranthocyte or I can never know how to pronounce that word. It's like a dark charcoaly grey. I really like it, shows the texture quite nicely, but it's quite subtle. The thing is with Perry that as much as he loves me to make him things or whatever, he doesn't really have much use for knitwear. So when he asked me to make him a cowl out of this yarn, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll make you a cowl and a matching hat and everything else you want to go with it. Because because I've never seen him wear a cowl ever, so for him to ask for one was a bit odd for me, but I wasn't going to question it. And but he likes things to be really simple, really sort of like not too fancy, as it were, so I think that's simple enough. And yeah, this didn't take me very long. On 4.5mm needles, like I said, I used just under 4 balls of the Drops Big Merino, so that's around 300 meters that I used to make this. It took me less than 2 days. I started it one afternoon and had it finished by the next evening. Super soft, super squishy, super quick. And then I decided to make a matching hat. Now, this is the hurricane hat pattern, and this is knit on also 4.5mm needles, also in the Drops Big Merino. This used less than 100 meters of yarn. So Hugo's going to come and join me in a second. Let me see if I can bring him over. And we've got the cat tree here. There we go. Say hello. Can you say hello? Yeah? You've got some new eyes there. So I decided to do the hurricane hat pattern, which is slightly different to it's completely different to the handbrake cowl pattern, if you can see. And I also realised once I was halfway through the hat that the pearl stitches were going the opposite direction, swirling round. But you know what, I don't mind. I quite like it actually, because they match but they're not the same, which I think is great. Sorry, I just dropped something. Sorry about that. So those two are going to be part of Perry's birthday present this year, and I still want to knit him a pair of socks to go on top of the pile, so that'll be something I will be doing soon. Probably I'll wait until next month when he's away. My next finished object is one that you guys have all seen. Oh god, I'm so sorry. I think I just scared off Hugo. Oh, apologies about that. My next finished object is my Rock Island shawl, which is massive. It is squishy. It is lace weight. It is beautiful. I love it. I love how it turned out. Like I said, it is huge. It finished out at being 185 centimeters long across the top straight edge and 75 centimeters deep. Like I said, this thing is humongous. I don't think I can get back far enough to get this all. Maybe you can sort of see it if I let the ends droop in, but it is as wide. It is wider than my wingspan. Yeah, and I love it. It is full of mistakes, but I don't care. It is great. I love it. And it's knit from the bottom up, which is completely new to me. It is lace weight, completely new to me. There was a lot of things about this that were new to me. It's mostly the knitting it bottom up, but I quite like that idea. So it's got an applied border. I don't know how well you can see it there. So this section was knit first, flat going that way. Then you pick up stitches along this edge. So that noise is Hugo scratching his cat tree that's right next to me. So you pick up stitches and then you knit upwards, decreasing until you get to this point here, where you end up having about like 3 stitches or 4 or 5 stitches to like sort of graft together and bind off. This lace section wasn't tricky, but it did require concentration, and this was the bit that took me the longest. This little section here took me about 2 weeks to finish, because I did put it away for a while because my mum was here and I was busy and I just didn't have the mental power to focus on it enough. But this last garter stitch section took me less than a day to finish, and like I said, I love how it turned out. It's full of mistakes. I noticed a drop stitch in the garter section way down here. You can sort of see way down here. By the time but I was already up here by the time I noticed it, because I realised my stitches were off by 1, and then find a drop stitch down there, and I couldn't pull it all the way back up because, like I said, I was decreasing along here, so that stitch would have decreased out somewhere down here anyway. So I was going to have to catch it with a spare bit of thread and tied off. Problem with doing that in Laceweight is that no matter what you do, you're going to notice, you can see that there where it's slightly thicker, where I've had to weave in the ends. Ain't nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. Unless someone's got a tip or a way of weaving in ends on Laceweight when it's at this loose gauge, please tell me, because I don't know how to do it without it looking like you can, without being able to still see it afterwards. I mean, it doesn't show when you're wearing the shawl, which I guess is what's important. No one's going to walk around holding the shawl up like this all the time to make it obvious. So could you imagine just walking around holding your shawl up, be like, woo? Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Another, I guess, major mistake that I made. It doesn't, again, you can't really tell at all by looking at it. I did the wrong decreases. Like you do some double decreases in this lace section, and I did the wrong one. So it asks you to do a specific type of double decrease, and I ended up just, because I put this away and I came back to it and I just picked up, I was looking at the chart and I was knitting away, and this is why you should have the abbreviations on the same page as the chart, because I didn't look at the abbreviations and I just sort of went with it, and I ended up doing the central double decrease because I love that double decrease so much for most of the shawl. And then it was only when I got to the garter section and I went back and looked at the instructions on a different page for this section that I then realised the decreases down the middle were different than the central double decrease. And then I went back and checked the chart and I realised I'd done the wrong decreases. But you know what? You can't tell. I love this shawl and I love the mistakes in it, and honestly, for my first foray into Laceweight knitting, I think I did pretty well. And like I said, they're the kind of mistakes that I know are there, and now you guys know are there, but no one looking at it is going to notice that these decreases are central double decrease. I mean, you'd have to really look hard to be able to tell that those are central double decreases versus whatever the pattern called for, and you'd have to know what the pattern was calling for to be able to. And basically, no one's going to notice, is what I'm getting at. And anyway, these were knit on 4mm needles, and I used the Drops lace, which is their alpaca silk mix yarn, and it's in the olive colourway, in the nice green. And I used such a ridiculously tiny amount of yarn. I expected this to take up about 600-700 grams, meters of yarn, which is what the pattern calls for, but I still have all of this left. I have 47 grams of yarn left. I used a little over half a skein for this. I kind of wanted to use up more of the skein, but I could probably almost get another one out of this. Not quite, but anyway. Like how this turned out, and my mum's probably gonna get this. She sort of expressed an interest, shall we say. So I'll probably go to her, and yeah, so that's that. I now want to knit all the lace shawls. I now want to knit all the Laceweight. After doing that and seeing Danny of A Little Bobbin, seeing her finished Pebble Beach shawl, I'm now like, I want a Laceweight Pebble Beach shawl. I was not interested. It's a lovely pattern. It is a lovely pattern. I've seen so many people knitting it and have knit it, but I wasn't ever really interested enough in wanting to knit it for myself. Now I want to knit one in Laceweight. I want to knit all the shawls in Laceweight. I've picked out my next 3 shawls in Laceweight, and I've picked out a couple of other patterns in Laceweight, and I'm just like totally in love with the idea of knitting with lace. It was a bit of a struggle some of the time, and I think that had to do more with my needle choice than with the pattern. I just think I should have been knitting it on, at least the lace section, I should have been knitting it on metal needles for the slicker, quicker movement of the stitches. I found I was really struggling to move the stitches across the needles at some points, but in the garter section it was fine. Anyway, so my last finished object for the week, I had 4 this week, were my 2-lane Highway Rage socks. So I finished these off this week. I really need to get some sock blockers. I think I might have to ask my mum to go to Loop and get me some, and then give them to Perry to bring back. I know she's watching, so that's the pattern. and I did mine in reverse. So these socks are supposed to be knit toe up, so from here that way. I knit mine cuff down, so the pattern is reversed, but I still think it looks lovely. I think that matters really. And I did the fish lips kiss heel. This is 64 stitches on 2.5mm needles, and the yarn is Knit Kicks Stroll Fingering in the Everglade Heather colourway, which I really like this yarn. It's really soft, really lovely. This yarn was given to me by Maria of the Stitched in Sweden podcast, so thank you very much, Maria. And yeah, I love how these turned out. This would be for one of my friends that I'm knitting for my group of friends. Hoping to have everyone a pair of socks by the end of November. That's my goal. And yeah, so that's that. What else was I going to say about those? No, I think that pretty much covers it. I have 4 finished objects for this week, which I was not expecting to have that many finished objects, but it just seemed like I was on a roll. And I guess the handbrake cowl and the hurricane hat, sorry, I've got some fluff on my nose that just won't go away. The hurricane hat and handbrake cowl were quick knits for me. I forgot to mention, handbrake cowl is a pattern by Dan and Kay Jones, which you all probably already know. And the hat is a pattern by Andrea Goulden, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, the hurricane hat. And the Rock Island is by Jared Flood. I realised I haven't said anything about, and the socks are by Sarah Stevens. Jeez, I am terrible today. Apologies for that. On to whips. My first whip is my dad's raglan in one of my project bags that I've made, and this is also in the Drops Big Merino. I'm knitting with a lot of Drops Big Merino this week. It's because I was knitting on this project that Perry realised that he liked the yarn. I am quite far along with this now, which is good. I finished the body. There we go. See, there it is, the body. Where is my stitch? There it is. So that's where I was last time I filmed. Oh, jeez. It's starting to get heavy now. So that's where I was last time I filmed, and I did the last sort of 8.5 inches and then another 2.5, 3 inches of ribbing. And I did the 1x1 twisted rib, which I love the look of. I just think it looks so much more, not professional, I don't think that's the right term, but it looks more finished. I think it's just a nicer finish than a regular 1x1 rib. It's a little bit more work, and it's a little bit more time consuming to do, for me anyway. But I totally think the results are worth it. And so I just have sleeves to do for that. But having done the cowl and hat for Perry out of the same yarn, I am down to 3 balls. Yeah, 3 balls of the drops yarn. I have put an order in with Love Knitting, which should be getting here soon, I hope. So I haven't started the sleeves yet, because as I think it was Chrissy from Stitch Together pointed out to me that the dye lots might be slightly different, therefore the colour might be slightly different, and you might not notice it in the skein, but it might probably be worth alternating. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm waiting for the other yarn to show up to see if it's the same dye lot or not. I doubt it, because I got the several months in between it, and then if it's not, I can alternate the skeins for the sleeves and see how that goes. Right, next up is a project that you guys haven't seen before. Actually, I think other than oh no, there's another one you've seen. It's currently in this project bag. It will not fit in this project bag for much longer. And sorry, before I move on to that project, my dad's raglan, I'm knitting that on 4mm needles. I'm using my high-highers for that, high-higher sharps, which I find works really well. And the pattern isn't so much a pattern, it's a top-down raglan recipe by Susan B. Anderson for Spun and Chloe. She did that a few years ago now. Right, moving on. This is, I am so sorry, honestly I say this every week, that I should have grabbed a glass of water. I really should, I don't know why I haven't. Finally started the beer chant. Yay, so excited. I'm loving how this is working up, and this is being knit out of, grab this ball first, it's the Woolmise lace garn in the Grapes for Sherry colourway. This is from their Nobody's Perfect range. It's got some floral, it says they've got some, they say their Nobody's Perfect line is basically the stuff that's not quite right. Maybe the colour is slightly off, or there's some knots in the skein. There was not so much a knot but a break in the skein quite early on, which is a bit annoying, but to be honest, it's to be expected. Can't be annoyed at them too much for that. And I have not done a massive amount, but I guess quite a bit still. Try not to, this is where I'm at. Oh, I guess it's this way really, isn't it? So this is the top bit. I've done the garter stitch section at the top, which is knit flat, and then I've joined it together into the round. And I'm just starting on the stockinette section, which is going to be pretty much for the rest of the shawl. I am almost 25 grams into my 325 gram ball. And the one thing I'm doing differently, I mean, this top section garter stitch was knit on 3mm needles. I'm really loving how these colours are working up. Yeah, you can see better. And then the stockinette section is knit on 3.5mm needles. I'm knitting these on some, I can't remember the brand of these, I think it's Knitmate or something. I got this interchangeable set on sale when I was in Dubai at the craft shop there. And these are the only 3.5mm interchangeable needles that I have. The highers don't come with 3.5mm, and my Knitter's Pride set, or Knit Pro set, don't know what to call them anymore. I don't have the 3.5mm for that. I need to get it, don't know why. If I'd started this before I placed my love knitting order, I'd have realised and I'd have ordered the needles while I was at it, but I didn't. But it's okay. And so yeah, that's that. That's where I'm at. I really like it, and I love these little stitch markers I've got on here at the moment. The owl and the pussycat. If you guys know that nursery rhyme, it used to be one of my favourites. So yeah, little stitch markers that I made for it. Yeah, so that's going. I don't really have a deadline for this. Like, there's no specific thing that I want to knit this for, but I would like to have it done by the end of August, because we're going to New York in September, and I'd love to have this for the plane. That's kind of, I guess that is kind of a goal then, isn't it? But it's not a strict deadline. If it's not done, it's not done, but it would be nice to have it done by then. And the bag and everything in it smells of lavender. So I've got one of my lovely lavender sachets in there, which is great. Needle poking. There we go. So that's my second work in progress. My third work in progress I'm going to show you is my Cozy Memories blanket, because I've done a lot of work on it this last week, and I hadn't showed it to you for a couple of weeks anyway, so I figured it was about time. So this is the top section of what I've shown you before. So I think I've shown you up to about here. I'm not sure if I've shown you these ones or not, but I'm pretty sure I haven't shown you from this row upwards. So yeah, got some fun colours in there. I've got the Serdar Heart and Soul from my Rose City Rollers, got the sock blank, rainbow sock blank in there. This is one of the yarns I use for the Olivia shawl. This is Small Nurturing Fibres that I used in my very first sock weight shawl that I ever made. This is the green Knit Pick Stroll from the 2 Lane Highway Rage socks, and this is the other Serdar Heart and Soul that I used for my friend's socks. And I think, yeah, this one is some Drops Baby Alpaca Silk. So that's that on this side, and what I've decided to do is I'm going to do, this way around would be easier. I'm going to do 10 squares across, sorry, 10 squares up by 5 squares across for this section, and then I'm going to do the next section next to it with the points going a different way. Sorry, on this side, with the points going, the decreases going up in this direction, and then I'll have them going the opposite direction on the bottom side. So it'll be like 4 corners. I'm going to do 5 by 10 for each one for now, see how big that gets. But I'm thinking of doing each section 10 by 10, so overall the blanket will be 20 by 20 squares, I think. But we'll see how that goes. See how big it gets. I'm going to do the 10 by 10, well, technically it would be 10 squares wide by 20 squares high. See how that works out, and if I want it wider, then I can just add squares to make it wider. But this one corner section, I guess, is going to be all yarns that I've used myself. So at the moment, this is the 8th row that I'm starting. So I'm going to go up to 10, and then this will be my yarns Mina has actually knit with herself, knit projects with herself corner. Then the next corner, which I've already started, is going to be starting with yarns that other people have given me in swaps and stuff. So the first 10 squares are the mini skeins that Freckled Whimsy sent me, Carrie from Freckled Whimsy sent me, and I love them so much. So I know this one is Desert Vista Dye Works, If They Kill Daryl, which is from The Walking Dead. This one is Allegria yarn, colorway unknown, that's what she wrote. These 3 here are cakewalk yarns, also unknown colorways, but they're beautiful, lovely speckles. This one is My First Regia. This one is another Desert Vista Dye Works Pitch Perfect colorway. This one is Unicorn Rainbow Fight or something. Let me just double check. I'm surprised I managed to remember as many as I did. Rainbow Unicorn Fight by Cyborg Craft Room. And this one is Republic of Wool. She wasn't sure of the colorway of that one. And this one is Spun Right Round, Pegasus colorway. And all of them, other than the Regia, are yarns by dyers that I've never worked with. They're all based in the US, I believe, and I've not had the chance to order from them yet. But it was so much fun to get to work with this. And so you'll see here, you'll see what I mean about the double decreases going in opposite direction, like different directions. And then down here will be going this way and then that way. It's kind of like how Danny from Little Bobbins is doing her squares, doing her blanket. But I'm kind of just going one segment at a time with mine. So it's getting pretty big. That's the back side. It's getting pretty big. I think I've got about 47 squares now. So there's 37 on this side plus the 10 from the start of this segment. So I don't know how many squares I've added to it since the last time I've shown you, but I've added probably at least around 20 squares, I think. But I'm really loving how this is working out. It's getting quite big now and I'm liking it. I'm really liking this project. It is, yeah, it's an easy one to just sit down and knit several squares at a time without really even noticing. I've woven in all my ends. I'm one of those weird people that actually quite likes weaving in ends. I don't know why. Just do. And this is still being housed in my project bag scraps tote bag that I made, which is fun. I'll pop it back in there. And right, my last works in progress are in my Freckled Whimsy bag, and you'll see why in a minute. I am knitting a pair of socks for myself. I've got my old my first Rose City Rollers pair of socks in the bag to use to be able to count the rows and stuff, get all that right. And you can see here I've just started. Sorry, just my needle case. I'm knitting them on 2.25mm needles with the 70 stitch count, which is how 72 stitch stitch count, which is what I used last time. This is where I'm at with the cuffs, just started. You may recognize this colorway. That is because Carrie gave me the most generous sized mini skeins ever, to the point where I had so much left that I can actually get a pair of roasted rollers out of the leftovers that she sent me, which I thought was kind of crazy, but kind of awesome. Sorry, what was that? Derek, what's up? Hey, come here, buddy. Sorry, he's just meowing. Yeah, how amazing is that? So I arranged the scraps sort of by colour orders where they sort of best merge into each other, and Magic knotted, like split each of the mini skeins leftovers in half. Magic knotted them together and balled them up, cast them on. So yeah, these are going to be roasted rollers, and I'll probably work on these whilst I'm editing, so that should be fun. Really looking forward to that. I have my very own special Freckled Whimsy rollers, or Frankenstein rollers, I guess probably be best to call them. I really like the pattern. The first pair that I knit, these only took 51 grams, and I knit the large size, and I have UK size 8 feet, which I think is US 10 roughly. So if I can get a pair out of just over 50 grams, and the leftovers I'd left came to about, I think, 54 grams, so it should have enough. And if not, I have plenty of other scraps that I can just add to the end to finish it off if I need to. So that's exciting. And obviously that had to go in my Freckled Whimsy bag because, well, obviously. So that's it for my works in progress. Moving on to upcoming, I have 2 more socks planned for my friends, which the yarn's already caked up into 2 cakes, and those are ready to be cast on. I'll probably do them one at a time though. And then Regina from the podcast that I mentioned earlier in the episode is hosting a knit along already, and her knit along is the Pond Along, which is using, you can knit anything you want using the Pond colorway by Bahrain Wool yarn, which is dyed by Vicky in Germany. Love her yarn. I think if you go back a couple of episodes, you'll see me just sat there gushing over how lovely this stuff is. It's super soft, super squishy. It's just like squishy, squishy, squishy. And it's this really beautiful blues and sort of orangey rust colours, which I love. I love blue and orange together, and these two, this yarn is just beautiful. Yeah, it's just, you sort of pull it apart and you see inside all these lovely colours. It's just so pretty. Look at that. Anyway, so I will be casting on a pair of socks for myself out of this. I haven't skeined it up yet because I just wanted to show it to you again in the skein. Look how pretty that is. And Vicky's knit a pair of socks, just plain vanilla socks out of this, and I think that's probably what I'm going to do because it'll just show off the yarn the best. What am I gonna do? Oh yes, so I also have a shawl design in my head, and I was flicking back and forth over what yarns to use, and it's going to be a 2-colour shawl. So I think the first one is going to be this neutral, which is Cascade Heritage sock yarn in just a neutral shade, creamish colour. I think the next one I'm going to do, is going to be this rainbow sock blank. But I think this was given to me by Danny of Little Bombers when we did our swap earlier this year, and it's by Unbeliever Wool, I believe. It's rainbow black is the colourway, so you can see all the colours it transitions through. I was thinking, oh, I'll knit socks out of this, but I don't think I will because it doesn't repeat, obviously, it just goes straight through, so the socks would be completely different, there's no similarity, which I don't think I would want, but I think this would look lovely in a shawl, so that's what I'm going to do. But because this is a blank and this isn't, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind this off into a skein, into a hand coming, soak it, let the kinks come out, and then wind it up and knit it with this, because otherwise I think the tension difference will look a bit weird, and I'm not sure if that would even out necessarily in the in the final shawl. I mean, if I knit the whole shawl out of just this, it would be fine, but I don't think it would work well together like that. What do you guys think? But this will also be my next rainbow project for my rainbow knit along. Like I said, I'll be doing socks for gifts, and I think one of the patterns I'm going to be using is the Rain on the Window pattern by Catherine Stephen, who is Girl with the Rabbit. She gifted this to me last week, which I explained to you guys. And I have some fun news about this pattern coming up in a minute. And I already mentioned I want to knit all the Laceweight projects. Literally I'm really sort of itching to cast on some more Laceweight stuff, but we will see when I do. I've got a few other things I want to finish first. So I think maybe once I finish my dad's raglan, I might start another Laceweight project. We will see. Knit along updates. So the Sunrays Cowl and the Rainbow Knit Along that I'm currently hosting are both still ongoing. The Sunrays Cowl finishes on the 23rd of August, and the Rainbow Knit Along will finish on the 30th of September. So loads of time still to enter for both. The Sunrays shawl is a really quick knit. It's only 1 skein of fingering weight yarn. It's got a stockinette body with a lace border, so it's relatively quick knitting in that respect. So you still have time to enter, is what I'm getting at, if you want to. And there's some lovely prizes. You can see pictures of the prizes and more information in the thread on Ravelry and in the show notes for this episode. And for the Rainbow Knit Along, we have a bunch of prizes so far. We have 2 yarn prizes. Someone has offered to send stitch markers, and there's be a bag by me that I'm knitting up specifically for this. And I was also contacted by another viewer who is Celine, and her Ravelry name is Cersei Bells B. I think that's her Instagram name as well. And she has some hat patterns on her page, and she's got some lovely hat patterns, honestly, really lovely. And she's offered 3 of them as prizes. So, well, basically, whoever wins can choose which pattern they want. So I haven't fully decided how I'm going to do that. I'll probably split up the prizes, so whoever wins gets one of the pattern choices, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to split up the overall yarn prizes and other prizes and stuff yet. So I think I'm going to wait and see, wait and figure that one out. Once I figured out how I'm going to divvy up and how many prizes there are going to be, how many prize winners there are going to be, I will let you all know. And like I said, I really like some of her hat patterns. Her cabled hats really appeal to me because I love cables, and I love cables in hats. I think cabled hat projects are a really good way to get started with cables, because it's not overwhelming like a cabled jumper or sweater would be, but you know, it's small enough. Hats are pretty small projects, so it's small enough and you've got fewer stitches, so it's not overly intimidating. And if you pick a project that's like a worsted weight hat with cables, then I think that sort of project is a really good introduction to cables if you've never knit cables, or if you're intimidated by cables. I think they're a really good way to show them off and to practice as well, because like I said, few stitches, quick projects. I really liked her 16 cable hat pattern and the Arabelle hat. The Arabelle hat just looks beautiful. Like I really want to knit that now. But they are gorgeous, so go check them out. So yes, and in other bits, back to this pattern, the Rain on the Window pattern by Catherine, who's Girl with the Rabbit on Instagram and Ravelry. She has very kindly offered us a coupon code for viewers of the podcast. There's a link, not a link, the coupon code is in the episode thread for the last episode, so for episode 18. If you go into the discussion thread on Ravelry, you can find the coupon code to get 50% off this pattern, which is very generous of Catherine. Thank you so much. So be sure to go and check that out. She's also hosting a knit along for this sock pattern in her group, so make sure you go join that too if you do get the pattern. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to casting those on and getting them started. They look like really fun sort of socks. They've got a really interesting sort of texture on the, it's a really interesting texture pattern. Right, so moving on to acquisitions. I haven't bought anything that's arrived. I have bought stuff. I've actually bought more than I should have this last week, but in fairness, some of it was necessary, like yarn to finish my dad's jumper. But anyway, none of that's come yet. The post has been a little bit hit and miss lately. There's been a bunch of packages that I'm expecting from swaps. I've done a few swaps recently, and there are a few packages that were sent mostly from the US, I think one from Germany, a couple of other places, that were sent about almost 2 weeks ago, not quite 2 weeks ago, but almost 2 weeks ago, and they haven't arrived yet. I think Ramadan has had something to do with it, and Eid is still kind of Eid now, so it's kind of slowed things down a bit, I think. But this one was one of the last packages that was sent out, and it was the first one that got here, so I have really no idea what's going on with the post. I did a swap with the lovely Tonya, who's in the US. I totally forgot to write down her Ravelry name and Instagram name. I think it's TV with 6 on Instagram. I think it's something similar on Ravelry. I can't remember. I'm so sorry, Tonya. But she contacted me about doing a swap, a bag swap. So she picked out one of the fabrics that she liked on my bags, and I made up a bag for her and sent it over with some treats and other little bits and pieces. And she totally blew me away with what she sent me. So she asked me what kind of bag I wanted, whether I wanted a wedge bag or a box bag, and I asked for a box bag. But she didn't just send me one, she sent me 2 box bags, and I just feel so spoiled. And they're so lovely. So these are the bags that she sent me, that she made for me. How awesome are they? So this one, the outside fabric is London print. It's all the London stuff, which I love, because I'm from London. I love London. And all the lovely, I love the keep calm and carry on symbol, which has become a very London thing now, apparently. Love it. And the other bag that she sent me is a mixed one. It's sort of like a travel bag. So you've got New York, you've got the Empire State Building there, you've got the Leaning Tower of Pisa, there's Big Ben, and there's the Eiffel Tower somewhere. I'm failing to find the Eiffel Tower. Oh, there it is, a little bit in the corner there. So love this bag too. And this is lined in the London fabric, and the London bag is lined in the travel fabric, which I think is perfect. I currently have, I said I had 2 sock projects lined up for my friends. The yarn for those are currently in these. So perfect size for 2 at a time sock knitting. Perfect. Love them so much. But no, that wasn't all she sent me, because she's just ridiculously kind and generous. And she sent me 2 Notions pouches as well. This one's really cute, yellow with butterflies and leaf patterns and stuff, which is really lovely. And kitty cats, because of course, kitty cats. And this is lined in the yellow fabric, and the yellow fabric is lined in the kitty cats. Perfect. So I can't wait to get started using these. And that's, oh, she sent me M&Ms. She sent me crispy M&Ms. As you could probably tell, I've already cut into it. I was trying really hard not to start on these until I podcasted today, but last night I cracked and I had to have a few. But crispy M&Ms from the US. I've never tried the US ones, and I have to say they taste different. Not bad different, just different. I can't quite describe the difference, but I think they're sweeter. I think that's what it is. But thank you so much, Tonya. You really didn't have to. You totally outdone yourself. So yeah, thank you so much. Now, moving on to the questions and answer section. I'm going to whiz through this quite quickly. I had a few questions this week. Most of them have quite quick answers, so I'll try and answer all of them if I can. The first one that I actually got asked this quite a few times last week after the last episode was, what needles do I prefer? Do I prefer metal or wooden? Do I prefer Knit Pro or some other ones, Addies or whatever's? What do I prefer? I don't think I have a set preference. It depends on the project that I'm knitting. I really love knitting with wooden needles. It hurts my hands less. I prefer, I definitely prefer using wooden needles for my sock knitting. I find at the tight gauge, the wooden needles don't put as much strain on my hands as the metal needles do. And then for other projects, depends what I'm working on. If it's something where I'm going to be knitting quickly and a lot of stockinette, then yeah, I'll probably use metal needles because the stitches will move faster. I do like metal needles as well. I have quite a lot of metal needles. I probably have more metal needles than wood needles, but I have a set of high-highs interchangeable sharps. I have a set of the Knitmate interchangeables, which are metal, which I showed you. We're on my Viajante at the moment. And then I have a set of the Knit Pro Symphony needles. And actually the Symphony needles I got in two smaller sets. I got like the chunky set and then I got the starter set. And I've been filling in the gap by buying the individual needle tips ever since. And I really like all three sets. And I have a variety of fixed circulars as well in varying sizes and lengths and materials, mostly metal to be honest. So I do like knitting with metal needles and I like knitting with wood needles. That's basically, I like knitting with both. I really think it depends on the project. It's hard to explain really. I think lace would be better suited to metal needles just for the slickness. There are occasions where metal needles, like I said, another reason I like the wood needles for sock knitting is I tend to drop stitches more when I knit on metal needles for socks. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just the slickness. Sometimes when I get to the end of a row or when I'm starting a row, and I'm more likely to pull the needle out the stitches by mistake when I'm knitting and stuff. So the short answer is I don't have a preference. It just depends on the project that I'm working on, but I like knitting with both types of needles. I haven't tried carbons. I really want to try carbons to see how I like those. I've heard a lot of good things about them, so we'll see. Someone asked me how do I like to knit my socks. Well, I like knitting them two at a time. That's the main thing. I started out exclusively knitting toe-up socks because I thought that way I had the best chance of getting the most out of the yarn that I was knitting with, which is true. You do get to basically finish the skein if you want to by knitting toe-up and just finishing the socks whenever you run out of yarn. But the main reason why I did toe up was because I was always worried about running out of yarn for my feet. But now that I've knit quite a few pairs of socks, I've gotten a better handle on how much yarn I actually use, and I now prefer knitting my sock cuff down. I find I can get a much better fit for my socks when I knit cuff down versus toe up. I will probably try toe up again now that I have a bit of a better idea of how many rows I need to knit for my foot. But I think I'm just a bit, and I also find it much easier to do decreases in a tight gauge than increases. I always like the way the toes of my socks look when I've knit them cuff down, and when I knit them toe up, I'm never completely satisfied with the way the increases look. So I think that's got something to do with it as well now. But I'm not saying no to knitting socks toe up ever again. But for now, I prefer knitting them cuff down. Someone else asked me for recommendations for 2 at a time sock tutorials. If you go to Very Pink Knits YouTube channel, and I've gone on about her several times, but honestly, really, really good tutorials. And she has both cuff down and toe up 2 at a time sock tutorials. So make sure you go check those out if you're interested in 2 at a time socks and you want to know how to do it. It's really not that difficult. It's more about making sure you keep your yarn untangled. And the way I do that is I sort of knit across one way, I turn the yarn clockwise, for example, and knit back, and then I turn it anti-clockwise. So you kind of just want to make sure you're not constantly going in the same direction. Otherwise, every now and again, you will have to stop and untangle, which is fine as well, if that's how you prefer to do it. It took me a while to get into the habit of turning one way and then the other way and then back, like alternating how I turn my needles to avoid twisting them. The first few socks are always twisted. Someone asked, am I going to knit the Marco Polo cardigan. Yes, I am going to knit the Marco Polo. It's kind of just taken a bit of a backseat at the moment. I've realised I can't have more than one sweater project on the needles at a time. I can only have one large commitment project at a time, I guess. I have the yarn for it still up there in my stash bookshelf. I want to knit it. I want to knit it before the end of the year. I want to knit it and take it to Iceland with me, because I bought the yarn in Iceland, and I think it's only fair and fitting that I knit the yarn and wear it in Iceland. So that's my plan, is I'd like to knit it for Iceland, and I'll probably start the cardigan in October, I think. I kind of got plans already for August and September, so I think October will be when that cardigan starts. That's the plan, at least. So we will see how that works out. And the last thing I was to talk about finally is something that someone asked me several episodes ago now, was about the fibre history in Bahrain. Now this isn't going to be a nice long explanation or description about the fibre history in Bahrain as I had hoped it might have been, but as it turns out, there's not much information about the fibre history in Bahrain. There is a fibre history, not so much around knitting or crochet, but around weaving. And weaving and fabric cloth making was quite a big thing over here for a while, it seems, from what I've been able to gather. There's not a lot of information about it online. There's very small amounts, like just a paragraph here or there, mostly giving the same information again and again. I found out that there was a handicraft centre near to about 10 minutes from where we live. When my mum was here a couple of weeks ago, we went and checked it out, and I took some footage. It was a really nice sunny day. Pretty much every day in Bahrain is a nice sunny day. But I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. There was no information. There was just a few rooms with very few things in them. There was some pottery, there was some weaving, there was some sort of like basket making stuff. And anyway, hopefully I'll have pieced the footage together for you, and I will insert that here. Yes, so as you can see, not really all that much there. Like I said, a little bit disappointing. There wasn't really anyone around to be able to ask information or to explain anything. But it was interesting to go see it. Might go back again some point once the weather gets a bit cooler, and hopefully there'll be more people around. It was Ramadan as well, so that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Like I said, I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't much information. But I do know that there is a fibre history here, specifically for weaving and fabric making. Anyway, so afterwards we popped down to we saw a sign for a beach and harbour. So we'll go check that out. Really wasn't much of a harbour. It was like a little tiny cove with like a boat ramp into the water, and that was about it. And some boats moored up on the side. And we just went down to the beach section and just dipped our toes in the water, just paddled around for a bit. It was quite windy, but really sunny, so it was quite nice. And and that was it really. We headed back after that. We had to run some errands and things, but I'll put in a bit of footage from when we were at the beach here. And I don't know if you noticed, but off in the distance, I'm not sure how well it shows up in the video, but off in the distance you can see the causeway, the bridge that goes to Saudi Arabia from that beach. So that's it for the question and answer section. My question for you guys this week is, what needles do you prefer to knit with? I said I don't particularly mind. I knit with both metal and wood, and both are fine for me. I enjoy them both for different things. So what do you prefer? Do you have a preference for one over the other? Do you have a preference for a specific brand over another? What are your favorite needles to knit with? Let me know in the comments in the Ravelry group. Right, so on to week in review quickly to wrap up this episode. I've been home alone this last week. It's been both very productive knitting wise. Like, honestly, I was not expecting that much knitting to be done, but as a result I didn't get as much sewing done as I would have liked. I did a lot of sewing, don't get me wrong. All my bags are prepped now. I say all my bags, just over half of the bags that I got ready with my mum when she was here are now prepped, and the only reason I've only done half is because I ran out of zips. So those are ready to be finished soon, hopefully. I'm probably going to phase it and finish them off in stages so I can have regular updates going forward. I feel quite bad that I haven't done an update in probably almost a month now. It's been a while. So that will be coming soon. Derek he's been like this for a while now, but he is like clockwork. That cat, you could set your watch by how hungry he gets in the evening, by his stomach. Honestly, 5:30 every day on the dot, he comes downstairs into the craft room. He's all meowing away at me, circling my feet, being like, feed me. He's funny. We usually don't feed them until 6:30 in the evening, but by about 5:30 he's already hungry and he comes down. Both of them spend most of their day upstairs sleeping at the top of the landing, where it's the warmest part of the house, and they're pretty much there all day. They'll occasionally come downstairs to go to the toilet or to nibble on some dry food, but come 5:30 Derek is downstairs circling my feet, meowing like crazy, and he's been like that every day this week, and I found it quite hilarious, really, that he is so regular and bang on time every day. I had some sewing issues this week. I don't know what it was. I think it was a mixture of my machine was just being a bit temperamental, and probably my head wasn't in the right place for it, but I was making stupid mistakes. The machine was jamming up on stuff that it shouldn't have been, and then I sewed in the zipper upside down several times, which was incredibly annoying to have to rip it out and do it again. I kind of got to a point on one day, I think it was, when was it? I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday last week, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to fight you anymore, because this is just painful, and I'm not enjoying it anymore at this point, and I'm just gonna, if I keep going, I'm just gonna make a big mistake at some point. I'm gonna ruin something, and then I'm gonna kick myself even more. So I just put it aside. I was like, you know what, just go sit in your corner for a little bit, and I'll come back to you tomorrow. And I did, and it was fine. I got quite a lot of sewing done over the weekend, which was lovely. It's Eid, or it was Eid on Friday, which marks the end of Ramadan. Ramadan is actually one of the months of the calendar year in the Islamic calendar. I don't know if I explained this or not. So it goes from one, and the Islamic calendar is a lunar calendar, so it goes from each cycle of the moon is 1 month, obviously. But also because of that, the days of the month actually change every year, because the lunar cycle is different to the, I guess, the Western calendar. The months are only 28 days long, so it shifts as a result. So yes, the Moon Sighting Committee announced Thursday night that Eid was on Friday. So Friday was Eid, and I celebrated by going out and getting a coffee while it was still daylight outside. Yay! You have no idea how exciting that was. I actually think once I finish recording this, I'm going to get the footage to upload to my computer, and then I'm going to pop out and get myself a coffee, because I really want one today. I've only had one since Friday, so I think I've been pretty good. Perry's coming home tonight, which I'm really, really excited about. I've really missed him. He's been away for a little over a week now. Yeah, I've really missed having him around. And this week, the funny thing is with Eid, different countries in the Middle East have different holidays for that. So Eid is a national holiday pretty much everywhere. In the UAE, we would get, I think it was about 2 days off work, 2/3 days, kind of depended really. I think in Bahrain they get a couple days off, and because Eid fell on a weekend, they kind of just tack it on after the weekend. Saudi Arabia always gets the best Eid holidays. I think that was one of the bonuses when Perry took the job, was I said to him, well, at least you know you're going to get really good holidays when Eid happens. And Eid happens twice in a year. There's Eid at the end of Ramadan, which is Eid al-Fitr, and then there's another Eid in a couple of months, which it's going to be terrible because I can't remember what it's for, but it's in Dubai or in the UAE. A lot of our friends would refer to it as Big Eid. Sorry about the quotation marks. They refer to it as Big Eid because it's the one where we got the most amount of time off in Dubai anyway. But for both of them, Saudi Arabia, as a minimum, the companies give them a whole week off work. So that's a bonus. So when he gets back tonight, he has the rest of the week off for Eid, which is lovely actually, because we're just going to be home and we're just going to hang out and do stuff around the house, and it's just going to be nice to not have anything to worry about. I got my visa sorted. I'm so excited. I got my visa sorted finally. It took so long. Thursday was the day I went and got my visa done, got my photo taken, and my fingerprints done. I got my residence card. I got my ID card, I got my resident permit and my multi-entry permit all stamped into my passport and given to me, and everything's sorted. I just have to get my driving license now, and that will probably happen later this week. The place was closed for Eid, so I have to go later this week, which is fine once they reopen. The post office has also been closed over the weekend, so I've not been to check if I have any mail because it's not been open. No one would have been there to process any mail. I have a few packages I need to send out. I have an order and a swap package to go out. What else has been happening? Oh, something I totally forgot to tell you guys last episode. But the week when my mum was here, my mum was speaking to one of her sisters in Iran one morning, and we found out something rather random and a little bit crazy. I'm not even sure how this happened, but my aunt was telling my mum that somehow our picture ended up on the national news on so let me preface this. Last year in April, I took Perry to Iran for the first time to meet my family and just show him around. And there was a picture that my mum took of me, Perry, my aunt, and one of my cousins on the subway with the train platform, the metro platform, waiting for a train. It was literally just the four of us sat on a bench with like a tile back. It was nothing interesting, and somehow this picture ended up on the national news in Iran as some sort of demonstration of how Iranians are very hospitable people. which I find hilarious. Iranians are incredibly hospitable people. Everyone that I know who is not an Iranian person who has been to Iran has come back and said they cannot believe how friendly everyone was and how hospitable everyone is and this, that and whatever, which I know to be completely true. But it was just so funny that was the picture they picked, although they even picked that picture. I have no idea, because it was from so long ago, from over a year ago. And then my mum was trying to figure out where they got the picture from, because she's not put it, on anywhere where it's public. Her Facebook is completely private, and so is mine and stuff like that. But it was just like trying to figure. And then I remembered I blogged our trip, obviously. I have, I guess, what I call like a life blog. It's almost like an online journal, diary type thing. And I blogged it. That was in one of my blog posts, that picture, and that's probably where they got it from. But of all the pictures, I posted a lot of pictures on the blog from that trip to Iran with Perry in them, in lots of different circumstances. That was the one picture that they chose. Even within that post, there were so many other pictures they could have picked that would have been nicer. It was ridiculous. Anyway, I'll insert the picture here for you guys so you can just have a little laugh to yourselves as to how ridiculous this situation is. Yep. So somehow that ended up on the national news in Iran. Totally random event. Yeah. Anyway. At least it was for a positive thing. Right, I think on that note, I will say goodbye. If you have any questions or suggestions for the podcast, please leave them in the questions and suggestions thread on the Ravelry group. Come join in the chatter in the discussion thread. Come join the knit-alongs, they're fun. And just come join the group if you haven't joined already. We're a really friendly bunch, and it'd be lovely to have you join us. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you all again next week. And yeah, have a lovely week. Hope it's full of knitting and crafting and all things lovely. Take care. Bye.